Bills Mafia. Are you ready? From North Carolina to Buffalo, the Mafia is united. This is your home for the passion, the power, and the pride of the Buffalo Bills. Welcome to Bills Mafia Carolina Takeover. Let's go, Bills.
All right, Bills Mafia, welcome back to another episode, a short episode here. The Bills are on a short with the Thursday night game turnaround here. So, of course, Tim the Outsider and Bills Mafia Carolina Takeover are on a short turnaround time. So we're going to dive right into this. Bills win. They win big in the sense. Put 44. Bills look good. We called it, Tim. Gabe Davis would come and have a huge impact in the game. I believe he had a huge impact in the game. But let's get into this, Tim. Thoughts of the game?
Thoughts in the game is you guys played well. Josh Allen put his Superman cape on and took over the game. Obviously the issues I'm having is Keon Coleman obviously being inactive, and also your defense still looked like garbage. And that's really where the issue coming from.
Yeah,
you had a third string back run all over you guys.
Yeah. When you mean garbage, you're talking about the run game.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. I agree with you. 100%. Run game's terrible. And from what it looks like, the Bills to kind of move on here is they're going to have to, it's going to have to be a shootout. And each game's going to have to be a shootout basically from here. Because the Bills aren't going to be able to stop the run from what it looks like.
Well, that's going to be my point. Like, if you got to play a team like Indianapolis, Jonathan Taylor's going to kill you guys. And that's, I don't know where you're going to get the help or what you guys got to do to figure it out. But you need to do something, because if you're trying to make a Super Bowl, you're not doing it with that defense.
I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far. But I get your point about the run defense for sure. And, from what it looks like, the Bills just need to stop, just have a 3-and-out, or really what it really looks like to me, especially against Tampa, is, they get lucky, they stop a running back, or, it's 2nd and 15, 2nd and long, 3rd and long. And it seems to be that's kind of where the Bills need to be at to be able to win. But I agree with you. The run defense isn't good at all, but it's not going to change. I mean, they're not going to find, they could have addressed it during the trade and they did it.
But here's the thing is, yes, you guys put up 44, but the other team put up 32.
Well, Tampa's a good team. Tampa's a good team.
But this is also a Tampa team that is shorthanded as far as like receiving. There is no Mike Evans. There is no Chris Godwin. They don't even have their starting running back. They even have their second string running back really doing anything. Yes, Tampa's a good team, but if you're going to be, you can't be giving up 30 plus to really any team in the NFL on a regular basis. Because Josh Allen was amazing, but he can't score 6 touchdowns a game on a regular basis.
I get that. I understand that. And from what I'm hearing from you is that the run defense is going to, I just don't know how that correlates with the Bills being a high-powered offense and not putting 40 on.
Well, the thing is, you're not going to be able to put 40 on if it's a good defense. It's not, that's not going to be a normal thing that you guys can do. I think you guys can score over, probably about close to 30 most games. But as far as putting a 40 burger on most NFL teams, especially good NFL teams, you're not going to be able to do that on a regular basis.
The Bills averaged 30 plus points per game last year, and we would have to go back and look, but obviously they had a couple stinkers in there, but they're averaging 30 plus on so far this year, and they played good defenses. And you have mentioned that they played good defenses as well.
As far as so I'll give you a Baltimore because it was week 1 before all the injuries happened.
Yeah. Baltimore's
But
an outlier.
they still gave up way too many points in that game.
Yeah, of
But
course.
as far
They
as the
shouldn't have won
AFC,
the game. They shouldn't have
as
won
far
the
as the
game.
AFC East, Miami's not a good defense. Jets aren't a good defense now. Um, as far as New England's a good defense,
Yeah.
but you guys also lost to them
Yeah.
because they have a good defense. So
Yeah.
it's
So yeah, I mean, I feel you. I understand where you're coming from here. But this has kind of been the Bills' MO. Like it's always been the offense, and I think the Bills' defense has been choose which one they're gonna bend on. And right now the defensive line is hurt, and and we're just trying to, as the players say, just trying to ride the waves of emotions, and that's giving up the running yards. I mean, they're going to give up running yards, but to your point too, like you know you got to be able to stop. You got to be able to, at least part of the game, be able to hold them from really running all over you.
you're
uh,
gonna have to stop the run for the simple fact being, if they're running on you, that means the clock is running, and your offense is not on the field.
yeah.
So, and that's going to give you less opportunities. So, there's a whole lot of mistakes that can't happen when you're playing that way.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but we're a long ways away from, playoffs and Super Bowl and who's going to be there, and how the Bills are going to match up against them. So, but I get your point. I was surprised that Tampa didn't continually run the ball. The problem with them is, to your point, the Bills got them in third and long. The Bills got them in second and long, and they got him into situations where they needed to pass the ball, and that's kind of been the recipe for the Bills, is because their run defense isn't good, to get them there, to get teams in that passing uh, position, so they can kind of stop the bleeding there. So I was surprised Tampa didn't run the ball as more. It felt like they kind of they kind of broke that, went to the pass. I didn't like the punt decision by Tampa there late in the game. I think you got to go for it there. The Bills' offense was humming, and I think that ultimately cost them.
Oh, you got to play aggressive. You got to play what's there. If you play conservative, you're gonna lose. What do they
Yeah,
always say? If you play prevent defense, that usually prevents you from winning.
exactly. And I think the way the Bills' offense was playing there, I think the ball was pretty close to midfield when they punted that. I think if you're Tampa there, you got to go for it. Like I said, Josh is humming there. The offense looked like it was kicking, so it was good. It was also good to see the special teams, right? I know Hardman had one, explosive kick return, and then he hurt his hammy and he was out for the game. But it looked like, Ray Davis was doing fine, and it looked like, the Bills special teams came on, right?
It gave you guys a spark. I mean, that's what you always say is you guys got to start off early. You guys are a team that needs to play with the lead. You guys are not if you're coming back from it, especially when teams can run on you. If they have a lead on you, they can really milk it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. You saw that and really in all three losses to the Bills. I mean, there was a close one there. People always talk about New England game, but that game was really close. Like, if I have to go back and look, but I mean, that game wasn't out of hand. The only game that really was out of hand was Miami game, but the Atlanta game and New England game, the Bills hung in there for a little bit. But to your point, you're right. I mean, if they get like Miami got a lead and they just kind of sat on it and ran that clock out. So that's a good point. But something that we have talked about, and then I have talked about since the beginning of the year, is that special teams, right? Getting Josh Allen the ball at the 40 or 50-yard line. I mean, that changed really the game for the Bills, wouldn't you say? Instead of starting at the 25.
Absolutely, that's a factor that a lot of teams don't realize, but they know how important it is. Because
Yeah,
if you're an NFL team, if you're going the full length of the field, you're not going to score 90% of the time.
exactly.
If you're going to full length, if you're cutting it in
Yeah,
half, guess what? You have a way better chance of scoring.
yeah. And to your point with the defensive foes and the running game, I feel like, just kind of what we saw last week against Tampa, like that may be an area where the Bills, hey, we gotta, I'm sure they're doing it every week, but if the Bills can get the kickoff returns back to the 40 or 50-yard line and get the ball Josh at midfield, that could, put a Band-Aid a bit on the run defense as well, which is what they showed against
Well,
Tampa.
you need all three phases to be,
Yeah.
to win.
Yeah.
And that's definitely going to help.
Yeah. Well, good. Any last words on this short week and short podcast here? Any last words to close out the Tampa game at all
I think,
that you saw?
you guys need to win so you get home playoff games, because obviously home is a big advantage. You guys being away from home, not so much.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Just that atmosphere, really every atmosphere at the Ralph is, certainly a game changer for the Bills. They're comfortable at home, and it certainly showed that on against Tampa Bay, as the Bills prevail. So before we move on to Houston and Thursday night, couple things for you. First one, I've heard a lot of chatter about, and let me preference by, you got to win the division first. So, I'm not saying that the Bills are overlooking New England right now. I didn't realize how far the New England game was. I thought it was right around the corner. So there's a lot of games to be played in between there. So we'll see if that happens. But if things work out here for the Bills, Tim, and they continually win,
Yeah.
do you see number one seed possibly for the Bills or a top seed there based on the current outlay here?
Unless
if the Bills win, if the Bills beat New England down the road.
it's a possibility, but I don't think it's probable. It's unless there's a big collapse by Denver or the Colts. I don't see you guys winning the number one seed.
So
and honestly, you need the Patriots to fall as well to even win the division.
Yeah.
So I don't see that happening. I'm not saying it's improbable or it's impossible, but more than likely it's not happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's the number one seed is still in play, but that's going to be a tough thing first. And obviously the Bills organization, they're focused only on the next game Thursday, and then obviously you got to win the division because that automatically gets you in. You don't want to be playing wild cards, wild card games late in the season, like Jacksonville's got to do, and in Kansas City there. Are you shocked about Kansas City?
I wouldn't say shocked. I mean, I'm like, we'll see where they end up because it's still Kansas City. They're gonna pull something off, but right now, like I predicted, Denver beat them. And Denver's taking hold of that division. You can't. That's why I get on the Bills defense. You see with Denver, their offense is not the same level as Buffalo, but their defense is 10 times better. And so they're going to be in every game because of that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I had a conversation with a few Bills Mafia about Denver, and they're saying that they were scared to play Denver. And they were asking me, and I said, because I think we were talking about who we should be rooting for in that Kansas City Denver game, in the Baltimore game for that matter. And I was saying you got to root for Denver, even though they're going to have maybe a better record at the end of the year. But for me, I would rather play Bo Nix than get Kansas City again and get Baltimore again. I don't think anyone wants to see Baltimore right now, especially with Lamar back in the run streak. So, I feel like if the Bills come in limping to the playoffs as a wild card, I think you want to see Denver and Bo Nix, because I do think the Bills are better than Denver. They score more points than Denver. So I think that would be a better matchup for the Bills. Although Kansas City, doesn't score a whole lot of points, but we know the history of them.
So
in the playoffs.
it's fine.
Would you agree with that?
You guys are scared of Patrick Mahomes. It's
yeah.
fine.
I mean,
that's
yes,
really what
okay,
it comes down. That's really what it comes down to. You guys are completely scared of Patrick Mahomes.
Yes, but there's nothing wrong with that.
You need to, slay your demons. You know what? It's personally, I don't think Kansas City is going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far the thing is, you're going to be playing Denver in Denver if you make the playoffs.
Yeah.
You're going to be playing all these good teams in their homes, home
Yeah.
stadiums, and that's gonna
Yeah.
be a tough road tough road ahead.
Yeah. I think I 100% agree with you, but I don't think there's any team that I'm like scared about currently in the playoffs with because of Josh Allen. Like that's what I'm saying. Like there's nobody there. If you get Kansas City and Baltimore in there, then that kind of mixes things up. But I like my chances against Denver. I like my chances to get Indianapolis. I think the Bills and Josh Allen, is going to have I feel like a better chance. And again, they could still beat Baltimore or Kansas City, but
I think you guys can beat Denver. I think you guys match up well against Denver. But I'll be honest. From what I've seen that run defense, you do not want to see Indianapolis.
yeah, no, I get that, but from my standpoint here, it's about points. Like the Bills are going to put 30, and this is what I had said to one of the Bills Mafia guys that was texting me. The Bills are going to put up 30 plus points. They had the bad game in Miami. That's fine. Whatever. But majority of the time they're going to put up 30 points, and I don't see any other team there. Maybe Indianapolis, maybe, but I don't see Denver. Having a track meet with Josh Allen. 35, 40 points. I don't see that. And Indianapolis possibly could run a little track meet there, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
Well,
the Bills get in, there's, obviously the run defense is going to suck, but, is Bo Nix going to be able to get in there and put 40 up? I don't think he can.
that's if you guys can put that much up against Denver, and that's really
True. Yeah, that's the other side. I'll give you that.
And you guys been in track meets with Kansas City in the playoffs before.
Yeah.
That you didn't fare well.
No, no, we didn't. That's why I don't want Kansas City.
So that's the issue. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you guys right now, especially in this next off season, you guys better get Josh Allen some help. He can't do it by himself every game.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting, certainly coming up here on Thursday. Who plays, who sits, Keon, that kind of thing. I cannot imagine the Bills going back from Gabe Davis. Just felt like a different offense. Just felt like, old school Josh Allen Bills. So I'd be shocked. He's got 2 more elevations left before they got to sign him to the 53-man roster, which I suspect they'll do just like they did with Poyer. But somebody's got to sit. And so it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Keon Coleman for sure, because he's obviously going to be the odd man out. There's no way Shavers isn't going to play because he's a special teams guy, number one, but certainly he could take the top off.
It would be very interesting if you guys start benching Keon Coleman, for the rest of the
I don't know where else he's going to fit in. Now, with the injury report coming up here, Samuel's probably not going to play. And there was one other wide receiver, I can't remember, or Kincaid's not going to play. So it's going to be either Samuel and Moore, who have been the people that have been swapping each other out. So then that leaves Coleman out, right? Samuel and Moore have been going back and forth. So I would, I don't.
Well, they're with Samuel getting hurt, and Elijah Moore didn't play this last game,
right? But he should be good to go. So I suspect, because all throughout the season it's been Samuel and Moore who have been in and out for each other. So I suspect that's going to be the same for this game, if that's the case, and Moore can go, which leaves Coleman and Gabe Davis, right, as the 2. So so it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see, because Shavers is not going anywhere because he's a special team starter, and certainly he brings.
Shavers has speed, and
he's got speed.
That's we talked about. You need people, outside that can beat people deep.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's. And then Shakur got hurt, didn't he?
He was out on a personal, so we'll see, maybe a game time decision for him, but I don't expect him to miss this game. I don't expect him to miss this game. So but we'll see. All right, so Tim, before we get into Thursday night's matchup against the Bills, I just want to recap We're not gonna have a picks this week because it's a short week, quick turnaround. We just having some walkthroughs like the Bills had. But man, you're crushing it right now. You're 19-15, so you are killing it. I am 15-19, so I am
So
far
that's why
behind.
you don't want to do the picks this week.
That is possibly the reason why.
Is that what's going on?
Yeah, let's just. I need a buy. I need to buy. I need to buy. So, but yeah. So that's where we're at there for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Houston coming in. Stroud's going to be out. He's not going to play. Don't know much about Mills. Your thoughts on this game as we wrap this episode up?
It's going to be the same thing as far as you guys need to stop the run. Houston's got a better offense than Davis Mills is he's a veteran backup. He's been there for years at this point. You got to stop Nico Collins. You got to stop Woody Marks. You got to start all. We're gonna see what the defense does. Now, I absolutely think you guys match up well against Houston. So I do think you guys are gonna beat them, but I wouldn't sleep on them. And it's with a Thursday night game, you never know.
Yeah. Do you have an X factor for that game, Tim?
X factor for the game is what I want to say every time is James Cook. I want to see James Cook have a regular game, not 12 attempts like he had this past week.
They shut down the run, though. That's going to happen. They're going to focus on shutting down Cook. So.
Well, here's the thing, though, and that's a good thing. You want to keep him honest. I want to see Cook get 70+ yards rushing. You got to keep the guys honest, especially because again, your receivers are okay. There's nobody that's anybody team's worried about. No one's getting doubled on your receiving core.
Yeah.
So you know what? Step it up, and let's see the Gabe Davis and all those guys do it. But as far as X Factor, I'm gonna have to go with the defensive line as well.
Okay, good.
Because again, stop the run and put pressure on Davis Mills. Don't let him sit back there.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, kind of the same thing for me. Thursday nights, short week. This is, it could be dangerous for sure. We're playing a Houston team that isn't all that good. From what I've seen anyway, they're not putting a whole lot of points up. Mills, like your point, is a backup. He's been in the league for a while, so he knows what he's doing. The Bills are just a better team. And Houston has a tough defense, as you mentioned as well.
That's going to be the issue. Is you know what? Let me take that back. The key for you guys is don't turn the ball over.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
That's exactly because Houston's that kind of team that can get after on all levels.
Yeah. Well, you could have multiple X factors, Tim. So
I think I have 3. I have James Cook, I have the defensive line, and no turnovers. So I'm covering all my bases.
There you go. Yeah. So I agree with you. Obviously, turnovers need to stop. These last couple games, Josh has turned the ball over. We've turned the ball over. So certainly when you play good defenses, you can't turn the ball over. So I suspect that they'll clean that up. But it is a dangerous Thursday. I do think the Bills are a better team here. And then you've got Josh Allen. My X factor here, I'm going to lean on that special teams again. I thought that really helped the Bills with the win against Tampa, with Tampa being a good defense. And from what it looked like, the Bills couldn't run the ball. But getting the ball to Josh's hands at the 40 and 50-yard line, and already he's only got to go 30 yards or whatever for points, I think that's going to be big. Also, too, the Bills got to get out early. I say it every week. But, if the Bills get out real fast in this game, cause a turnover in the first couple series against Houston, and they go up, 10 points, 2 touchdowns, that's going to be tough for Houston and Mills to come back there. I don't care what kind of defense the Bills have. If the Bills are firing all cylinders, that's really going to be tough. So, certainly that's my X factor on there as well. And then the offensive line's got to show up. They got beat up last week against Tampa, which caused the James Cook not to be, wasn't existent at all. So I expect them to kind of man up a little bit more, be a little bit more aggressive on the defense or for the defensive line guys there.
Mm-hmm.
You score prediction before we end this?
I'm gonna say 24-12.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna go 31-17 Bills. And the Bills will will have 2 turnovers by Houston, and James Cook will get your 80 yards, 70 yards that you had selected there. So
Okay.
that is it. So that is all for this week's episode. And as always, make sure you email us at billsmafia.cto@gmail.com. We'll be back next week with Mafia Mail. It was a fun segment. And also, if you have any emails or complaints or concerns about how Tim is acting in the Mafia room or what he's saying, you can certainly email the show at billsmafiacto@gmail.com, and we will get those read on the air. And as always, be good, do good, God bless, go Bills.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Bill's Mafia Carolina Takeover. Thanks for tuning in and repping the Mafia with us. Don't forget to subscribe, drop your Mafia mail, and join us next time as we bring the passion, the pride, and the power of the Buffalo Bills straight from the Carolinas. Let's go Buffalo.